I woke up on my 32nd birthday morning expecting at least a text message, but my phone was silent. I went downstairs to find my husband Greg rushing out the door for golf with my brother Tyler, my mother Linda on the phone planning my sister Cassidy's baby shower, and my teenage stepdaughter Morgan asking for money while scrolling through social media. No one remembered, not one person. This was the third year in a row they had forgotten my birthday completely. And something inside me finally snapped. I stood there frozen in my kitchen, watching my family scattered around the house like chess pieces, each one completely oblivious to what day it was. Greg grabbed his golf clubs from the hall closet, whistling some tune I didn't recognize. Morgan sat at the kitchen island, her eyes never leaving her phone screen as her thumb scrolled endlessly. My mother paced in the living room, her voice animated as she discussed flower arrangements with someone on the other end of the line. The silence of my phone felt deafening. I picked it up, checking for the third time to make sure the volume was on, that notifications were enabled, that maybe, just maybe, something had gotten through that ID somehow missed. Nothing. The screen showed only the usual morning emails and a reminder about an upcoming dentist appointment. Last year, they'd forgotten too. I remembered standing in almost this exact spot, watching the day slip by until finally, around 9 o'clock at night, Tyler had called. Not to wish me happy birthday, but to ask if I could help him move furniture the next weekend. When I'd mentioned, my voice small, that it was my birthday, there'd been this awful pause. Then suddenly everyone remembered, and they'd thrown together this half-hearted dinner at a chain restaurant off the highway. Greg spent the entire meal on his phone, responding to work emails he claimed were urgent. Cassidy complained about the menu. Morgan asked to be excused after 10 minutes to meet friends. My mother tried to make conversation, but even she seemed distracted, checking her watch every few minutes. The year before that, they'd remembered at 10 o'clock at night. Greg had run out to a gas station and come back with a gift card for $25 and a wilted bouquet from the refrigerated case. The card had a generic message, and he hadn't even signed it. Meanwhile, the family went absolutely all out for everyone else's celebrations. Cassidy's 30th birthday 2 months ago had been a surprise party with 50 guests at a rented venue. I'd spent 3 weeks planning it, coordinating with her friends, ordering a custom cake, arranging catering, decorating the space with photos from every year of her life. The party had cost over $2,000, and Greg hadn't blinked at the expense. Tyler's promotion last fall had warranted a weekend cabin trip in the mountains. Everyone cleared their schedules. I'd organized the rental, planned the meals, made sure we had enough groceries and supplies. Wed celebrated him for 3 full days. Greg's birthday in January had been elaborate. I'd researched for weeks to find the perfect gift, finally settling on a custom-fitted golf club that cost $800. I'd baked his favorite German chocolate cake from scratch, invited his college friends over for dinner, and made sure every detail was perfect. Even Morgan's 16th birthday last spring had been massive. They'd surprised her with a used Honda Civic, light blue, with a bow on top. I'd spent months helping Greg search for the right car, negotiating with dealers, arranging insurance. The party afterward had 25 teenagers and enough pizza to feed an army. And for every single one of these celebrations, I had been the one orchestrating everything. I bought the gifts, always knowing exactly what each person would love, because I actually paid attention to what they said throughout the year. I made the reservations at restaurants, calling weeks in advance to get the best tables. I baked the cakes, staying up late the night before to make sure the frosting was perfect. I sent the invitations, followed up with guests, coordinated schedules. I walked over to the refrigerator, where our family calendar hung on the side. It was covered in colorful markers, different colors for each person. Greg's golf tournaments in blue, Morgan's volleyball games and school events in purple, Tyler's gym schedule in green, Cassidy's doctor appointments and baby-related milestones in pink, my mother's book club meetings and volunteer commitments in orange. My birthday wasn't written anywhere, not even in pencil, not even a small notation, but every other family event was marked in detail. Cassidy's baby shower this coming weekend had an entire section with lists of tasks, people to call, items to buy. Morgan's college campus tour next month was circled in red with 3 exclamation points. Greg's company golf outing was highlighted with a note about what time he needed to leave. I could feel my hands starting to shake. I gripped the edge of the counter, trying to steady myself. From the living room, my mother's voice carried clearly. Shed moved closer, still on the phone, still discussing Cassidy's shower. The centerpieces need to be perfect, she was saying. Cassidy deserves it, after everything she's been through. This is her first baby, and we need to make it special. I'm thinking we do cascading roses with baby's breath, and maybe some of those little wooden blocks with letters spelling out the baby's name. Everything she's been through. Cassidy had been trying to get pregnant for 2 years, and it had been hard on her. I understood that. It'd been there for every disappointed phone call, every negative test, every failed attempt. It'd listened for hours, brought over ice cream, sent encouraging texts. When Shed finally gotten pregnant 3 months ago, it'd been genuinely happy for her. But the phrase everything she's been through echoed in my mind. What about everything it'd been through? Did anyone even know? Did anyone ask? It'd been handling the household finances for years, juggling bills when money was tight, making sure everything got paid on time. It'd supported Greg through 2 job changes, listening to his stress, encouraging him, taking on extra freelance work when his income dipped. It helped Morgan navigate the nightmare of high school drama, staying up late when she needed to talk, driving her and her friends around before she had her license, helping her study for tests, but none of that seemed to register as something worth acknowledging. Greg came back through the kitchen, his golf shoes clicking on the tile floor. Hey, can you pick up Morgan from volleyball practice later? He'll be at the course until at least 6. And Tyler and I were thinking about grabbing dinner after. He didn't wait for an answer. He just assumed I would say yes, like I always did. Sure, I heard myself say, my voice sounding distant to my own ears. He kissed the top of my head absently, already thinking about his tea time, and headed out the door. Morgan looked up from her phone for the first time. Can I have $40? Jessica's birthday is next week, and I want to get her something nice. Jessica, her best friend, whose birthday Morgan had mentioned 3 times in the last week, making sure nobody forgot. I pulled 2 20s from my wallet and handed them over. Morgan took them without a thank you, already back to scrolling. My mother ended her phone call and came into the kitchen, smiling. Good morning, sweetheart. I'm making a supply run for the shower this afternoon. Do you want to come with me? We could grab lunch. For just a moment, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe Shed remembered. Maybe lunch was her way of acknowledging the day. Where were you thinking? I asked carefully. Oh, anywhere quick. I have a lot to get done. Maybe that sandwich place near the party supply store? We could be in and out in 30 minutes. The flicker died. Just another errand. Another task where I'd probably end up helping her carry bags and offering opinions on napkin colors. I can't today, I said. I have some things I need to take care of. My mother looked surprised. I never said no. Oh, well, all right. I'll just go myself then. She gathered her purse and left. And suddenly the house was quiet, except for the sound of Morgan's fingers tapping on her phone screen. I walked slowly to my small home office, the converted spare bedroom where I did my graphic design work. I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop, not really sure what I was doing, just needing to be somewhere else, anywhere else. My hands moved almost automatically, logging into my bank account, the personal one, separate from the joint account I shared with Greg. This was where my freelance income went, the money I made from logo designs and website layouts for small businesses. I'd been building it up for 3 years, always telling myself it was for a family emergency. The number on the screen made me blink. $23,412. I stared at it. $23,000 that no one knew about. Money I'd earned working late nights after everyone else had gone to bed, taking on extra projects during weekends, saving carefully. For what? For them? For another celebration I'd planned for someone else? For another emergency that would inevitably involve everyone but me? The realization hit me like cold water. I was the emergency. My own life, my own needs, my own exhaustion from years of being taken for granted. That was the emergency. My fingers started moving, almost without my conscious decision. I opened a travel website, typed in destinations I'd always dreamed of visiting but never allowed myself to seriously consider, places that seemed too expensive, too indulgent, too selfish. Italy, the Amalfi Coast, Positano, with its colorful cliffside buildings and crystal blue water. I clicked through hotels, watching the prices climb. $200 a night, $400, $600. I kept scrolling until I found it. A 5-star boutique hotel with a private terrace overlooking the Mediterranean. $850 per night. The old Alexandria would have closed the browser immediately, would have felt guilty for even looking. But I wasn't the old Alexandria anymore. Something had broken this morning, standing invisible in my own kitchen on my own birthday, and I didn't think it could be put back together. I selected dates. 2 weeks, starting in 3 days. I calculated quickly. The hotel alone would be nearly $12,000. Add flights, meals, activities, and I'd spend close to half my savings. My hand hovered over the mouse. Then I clicked Book Now. I entered my credit card information, the one attached to my personal account. Selected first-class flights because, why not? Added travel insurance. Added airport transfers. Added every single upgrade and add-on option available. The confirmation email arrived 30 seconds later. Non-refundable. Departure in 3 days at 6 in the morning. I sat back in my chair, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. What had I just done? No. I knew exactly what I'd done. For the first time in 3 years, I'd put myself first. I'd chosen me. And it felt terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. The next 3 days passed in a strange bubble of normalcy and secret preparation. I moved through the house like I always did, but inside, everything had changed. I was planning my escape, and the fact that no one noticed made the decision feel even more right. On day 1, I focused on work logistics. I contacted my 3 current clients and explained I'd be working remotely for 2 weeks. 2 of them didn't care, as long as projects got delivered on time. The third, a startup founder named Jeremy, actually sounded excited. "Good for you," he said over the phone. "Everyone needs a break. Send me photos of wherever you're going." I researched restaurants in Positano and the surrounding towns, making a list of places I wanted to try. I read travel blogs written by solo female travelers, learning about the best times to visit certain beaches, which boat tours were worth the money, where to watch the sunset. I felt like a teenager planning her first adventure, except I was 32, and this should have happened years ago. Greg asked me to reorganize the garage that evening. We'd been talking about it for months, and had finally decided to tackle it this weekend. He wanted my help sorting through boxes, deciding what to keep and what to donate. "I can't this weekend," I said simply. He looked up from his tablet, surprised. "Why not? I have other plans." "Like what?" "Just things I need to do." He waited for me to elaborate. I didn't. After a moment, he shrugged and went back to his tablet. He didn't push, didn't ask follow-up questions. Because he wasn't actually interested in what I was doing. He just assumed that if I was busy, it must be something for someone else in the family anyway. On day 2, my mother called asking for help with Cassidy's baby shower invitations. They'd been delivered, beautiful cream-colored cards with elegant scripting, and they needed to be addressed and stamped and mailed. "I have about 85 of them," my mother said. "It'll go so much faster with 2 of us. Can you come over this afternoon?" "Actually, I can't. I'm swamped with work." There was a pause. "Oh. Well, when will you have time?" "The shower is in 10 days, and people need to receive these soon." "I'm sure you can handle it, Mom. Or maybe Cassidy could help. It's her shower." Another pause, longer this time. "Cassidy's been very tired with the pregnancy. I don't want to burden her. Then maybe Tyler could help." "Tyler?" My mother sounded like I'd suggested she ask a stranger off the street. Why would Tyler address shower invitations? Because he's family, and family helps each other. I could practically hear her confusion through the phone. It never talked like this before. Never redirected tasks, never suggested that someone else could handle something. "Well, I'll figure it out," she finally said, her tone slightly hurt. "I know you will. You're very capable." We ended the call, and I felt only the tiniest pang of guilt. Mostly, I felt free. That afternoon, I went to a salon I'd been wanting to try for months. An upscale place in the nice part of town where appointments cost 3 times what I usually paid. I got my hair trimmed and styled, got my nails done in a soft pink color that looked elegant and expensive. The stylist chatted with me about where I was going, and I told her about Italy. She got genuinely excited, showing me photos from her own trip there 5 years ago. "You're going to love it," she said, blow-drying my hair into smooth waves. "It changes you. Something about being there, just being yourself without anyone else's expectations." Her words settled into my chest, confirming what I already knew. I stopped at a boutique and bought new clothes. Sundresses in flowing fabrics and bold colors I never wore at home. A swimsuit that actually fit well and made me feel confident. Sandals that were comfortable but stylish. Linen pants and soft cotton tops. A wide-brimmed hat. Sunglasses that cost more than I'd ever spent on sunglasses before. The total came to $740. The old Alexandria would have returned half of it, convinced she didn't need that much. The new Alexandria handed over her card without hesitation. When I got home, Greg was in the living room watching a basketball game. "Where were you?" he asked, not looking away from the screen. "Running errands. Did you pick up that stuff I needed from the hardware store?" I'd completely forgotten. Head mentioned it this morning. Some specific screws and a tool for his garage project. "No, sorry. I forgot." He finally looked at me, slightly annoyed. "Really? I specifically asked you this morning." "You'll have to go yourself." He stared at me for a moment, clearly waiting for me to offer to go now, to fix my mistake. I sat down in the chair across from him and picked up a magazine. After a long pause, he turned back to the game. "Fine. I'll go tomorrow." Morgan came home from volleyball practice around 6, using her own key because I hadn't gone to pick her up. Shed gotten a ride from a teammate's mother instead. She didn't mention it, didn't seem bothered. She just went straight to her room. On day 3, the day before my flight, I finalized everything. I packed my new suitcase carefully, rolling each item like the travel blogs had taught me. I charged all my devices. I printed my boarding passes and hotel confirmations. I arranged for a neighbor, an older woman named Dorothy who I sometimes had coffee with, to water my plants. I didn't tell her I was leaving the country, just said I'd be gone for a while. I checked my passport, made sure it was current, tucked it into the new leather passport holder I'd bought. Cassidy called in the afternoon, her voice strained with frustration. "Mom is completely overwhelmed with the shower planning. She says you've been too busy to help." "What's going on?" "I have a lot of work right now," I said calmly. "Can't you make time? This is important, Alexandria. It's my first baby." "I know, and I'm sure the shower will be beautiful. Mom is very good at planning events. But she's not you. You always know exactly what to do, how to make everything perfect." There it was. Not "we need you because we care about you," but "we need you because you're useful." "Shell, figure it out," I said. "And if she needs help, maybe you could assist her. Or Tyler. Or Greg." "Greg?" Cassidy laughed. "What would Greg know about baby shower planning?" "Probably nothing. But maybe it's time people learned." Cassidy was quiet for a moment. "You're acting really weird lately. Maybe I'm just tired of being the only one who does everything." "That's not fair. We all contribute to this family. Do you? When's the last time you planned something for someone else? When's the last time you asked how I was doing? I ask all the time. You ask when you need something." "There's a difference." She hung up on me. I set my phone down and felt nothing but relief. That evening, we had family dinner. Just the 4 of us. Me, Greg, Morgan, and Tyler. Who'd stopped by to raid our refrigerator like he often did. My mother was at home, presumably still working on those invitations by herself. I made spaghetti and meatballs, nothing fancy, and we ate mostly in silence. Everyone was on their phones between bites. This was normal. This was how we always were. As we cleared the dishes, I said casually, "I'm going out of town for a couple weeks." Greg looked up from loading the dishwasher. "Oh yeah? When?" "Starting tomorrow." "Tomorrow? That's sudden." "Where are you going?" "Just away for a bit. Visiting Rachel in Denver again." He was referring to my college roommate, who I'd visited once, 3 years ago. Something like that. Morgan barely glanced up. Cool. Can you leave money for groceries? Tyler grabbed another beer from the fridge. 2 weeks is a long time. What's the occasion? Just need a break. They all nodded, accepting this, without question. No one asked where specifically. No one asked if I needed a ride to the airport. No one offered to help me prepare. Greg didn't ask about work, whether I'd be available by phone, whether this would affect any family plans, because there were no family plans that involved me doing anything other than facilitating everyone else's plans. After dinner, I went upstairs and set my alarm for 4 in the morning. My flight was at 6, and I needed to be at the airport by 5 at the latest. I'd booked an Uber for 4:30. I took a long shower, letting the hot water ease the tension in my shoulders. I laid out comfortable clothes for the flight. I triple-checked my suitcase, my carry-on, my documents. Then I sat down at my desk and wrote a note on a piece of our everyday notepad paper. Nothing dramatic. Just facts. Gone on vacation. Back in 2 weeks. Figure everything out yourselves. Alexandria, I left it on the kitchen counter, propped against the coffee maker where someone would definitely see it. Then I went to bed. I thought I'd be too anxious to sleep, but I was out within minutes. For the first time in years, I slept deeply, dreamlessly. My alarm went off at 4 in the morning. I got up quietly, dressed, grabbed my luggage. The house was dark and silent. Greg slept on his side of the bed, not stirring. Morgan's door was closed, everything peaceful and oblivious. I crept downstairs, set my house key on the counter next to the note, and walked out the front door. The Uber was already waiting, a quiet sedan with a driver named Carlos who helped me load my bags. Airport, he confirmed. Airport, I said. As we pulled away from the curb, I looked back at my house. The porch light was on, the one I always forgot to turn off. The windows were dark. My family was inside, sleeping, completely unaware that I was leaving the country. I turned off notifications from the family group chat, left only my regular phone settings so I could still receive actual calls in case of a true emergency. Then I leaned back in the seat and watched my neighborhood disappear behind me. The first-class experience started the moment I arrived at the airport. There was a separate check-in line, a separate security line, and a lounge where I could wait before boarding. I'd never flown first class before, never even considered it because it seemed wasteful, unnecessary. But sitting in that lounge, eating fresh fruit and pastries, drinking coffee from real china cups, I understood the appeal. It wasn't just about the physical comfort. It was about being treated like you mattered, like your experience was worth something. The flight attendant greeted me by name when I boarded. My seat was more like a small pod, with a door for privacy, a lie-flat bed, and more legroom than I knew what to do with. They brought me champagne before we even took off. Real champagne, cold and bubbly and perfect. I watched the sun rise through the small window as we climbed above the clouds. Somewhere below me, my family was waking up, finding the note, starting to realize I was actually gone. I felt no guilt, only peace. The flight was 11 hours. I watched 3 movies I'd been wanting to see. I ate a meal that was actually delicious, with real silverware and multiple courses. I slept for 4 hours straight in that lie-flat seat, wrapped in a soft blanket, and no one woke me up asking for anything. When we landed in Naples, I felt more rested than I had in years. The private car I'd arranged was waiting at arrivals, a sleek black sedan with a driver holding a sign with my name. He took my luggage, opened the door for me, and we began the hour-and-a-half drive down the coast to Positano. The scenery was breathtaking. Dramatic cliffs dropping into turquoise water, small villages clinging to mountainsides, lemon groves and olive trees and flowers I couldn't name. The road was narrow and winding, and the driver navigated it expertly while pointing out landmarks. "First time in Italy?" he asked in heavily accented English. "First time," I confirmed. "You will love Positano. It is paradise." He was right. The hotel was everything the photos had promised and more. Built into the cliff face, white stucco with blue accents, cascading down toward the water. My room was a suite on the 3rd level, with a king bed dressed in crisp white linens, marble floors, and French doors that opened onto a private terrace. I stepped out onto that terrace and nearly cried. The view was impossibly beautiful. The Mediterranean stretched out forever, sparkling in the afternoon sun. The village spread out below me, pastel buildings stacked like children's blocks, winding staircases connecting different levels. Boats bobbed in the small harbor. I could hear church bells in the distance. A bottle of Prosecco waited in an ice bucket on the terrace table, with a note from the hotel manager welcoming me. I opened it, poured myself a glass, and sat down in one of the comfortable chairs. For the first time in 3 years, I had absolutely nothing I had to do. No one needed me. No one was asking me for anything. I could sit here all day if I wanted, and no one would care. So that's what I did. I sat on that terrace for 3 hours, drinking Prosecco, watching the light change on the water, listening to Italian conversations drift up from the street below. I didn't check my phone, didn't think about home, didn't make any plans. I just existed. Eventually, I showered in the beautiful marble bathroom with its rainfall showerhead and fancy toiletries. I put on one of my new sundresses, the yellow one with small white flowers, small connections, moments of kindness from strangers. I went back to my hotel and fell asleep with the terrace doors open, listening to the sound of the sea. The next day, I slept until 10 in the morning. 10! I couldn't remember the last time I'd slept that late. I ordered room service for breakfast. Fresh pastries, fruit, espresso. I ate on my terrace in my pajamas, taking tiny bites and savoring every single one. I spent the afternoon by the hotel pool, a stunning infinity edge pool that seemed to blend right into the sea beyond it. I read an entire novel, one I'd bought months ago and never had time to finish. I swam lazy laps. I napped on a lounge chair with the sun warm on my skin. In the late afternoon, I signed up for a cooking class offered by the hotel. 6 people in a kitchen with a chef named Antonio who taught us how to make fresh pasta from scratch. We made fettuccine and ravioli, learning the right way to fold the dough, how to know when the texture was perfect. We ate what we made, sitting around a big wooden table, drinking local wine, laughing about our various mistakes. One of the other students, a woman about my age named Harper from Boston, asked what brought me to Italy. I told her I needed a break from my family. She raised her wine glass. Cheers to that. I'm celebrating my divorce being finalized. 12 years of marriage, done. And I've never been happier. We talked for 2 hours after class, sharing stories. She told me about her ex-husband who never listened, never helped, never saw her as a partner. It sounded familiar. Too familiar. What made you finally leave? I asked. I realized I was happier imagining a life without him than I was living with him. Once I admitted that to myself, everything else was just logistics. Her words stayed with me. On my 3rd day, I took a boat tour to Capri. The boat was small and comfortable, with about 15 other tourists. We visited the Blue Grotto, a sea cave where the water glowed an ethereal blue from sunlight filtering through underwater openings. It was magical, otherworldly. We had lunch on Capri, at a restaurant overlooking the Faraglioni rock formations. I sat next to a retired teacher named Joan from Minnesota who traveled alone twice a year. "Doesn't it get lonely?" I asked her. She smiled. "Sometimes. But it's a good kind of lonely. It's peaceful, and I meet interesting people everywhere I go. Like you." We exchanged contact information. She made me promise to email her when I got home. That evening, I finally looked at my phone. I'd been avoiding it, but curiosity got the better of me. The family group chat had 37 unread messages. I scrolled through them, watching the progression. Greg, first message, Tuesday morning. Where's the checkbook? Need to deposit something. Morgan, Tuesday afternoon. How do I use the washing machine? Linda, Tuesday evening. Where are you? Cassidy needs help with shower menu. Then the tone shifted. Greg, Wednesday morning. Alexandria, where are you? Your note said vacation, but where exactly? Tyler, Wednesday afternoon. Sis, call me when you get this. Everyone's worried. Linda, Wednesday evening. This isn't funny anymore. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? And then, Thursday morning, someone must have looked at my Instagram. It'd posted one photo the day before. A simple shot of my terrace view at sunset, with just a location tag. Positano, Italy. Greg's message. Are you in Italy? Linda. Why didn't you tell us you were traveling internationally? Cassidy. Mom says you're in Europe? What about my baby shower this weekend? Morgan. Dad's freaking out because he doesn't know how to make dinner. Tyler. Okay, this is getting weird. Are you okay? Why Italy? I read through all of them, feeling strangely detached. They were worried, but not about me. They were worried about how my absence affected them. I opened Instagram and posted another photo. This one was from that afternoon, me sitting at a beach club with an Aperol spritz, the Positano coastline behind me. I was wearing my new white sundress and sunglasses, and I looked happy, genuinely happy. Caption: living my best life. I posted it, then muted the family group chat again. I wasn't ready to engage yet. I was still just existing, just breathing, just being myself without the weight of everyone else's needs. I went down to dinner and ordered the most expensive thing on the menu: fresh lobster with pasta. It was incredible. Over the next several days, I fell into a rhythm. I woke up when my body wanted to wake up. I ate when I was hungry. I explored when I felt like exploring. I rested when I needed rest. I posted to Instagram daily, carefully curating each photo to show exactly what I wanted them to see. Me thriving, me glowing, me completely unbothered by their chaos. A professional photo at the ancient ruins in Pompeii, which I visited on day 5. Me in a flowy white dress, standing among 1,000-year-old columns, looking contemplative and free. A sunset boat ride on day 6, where Id booked a private boat for the evening. Just me, a captain, and the open sea. The photo showed me at the front of the boat, wind in my hair, the sun setting behind me in shades of orange and pink. Dinner at a Michelin-starred restaurant on day 7. The photo was an artistic shot of my meal, multiple courses arranged beautifully, with my hand visible holding a wine glass and the caption, "Sometimes you have to treat yourself like the treasure you are." A spa day on day 8. I got a massage, a facial, and spent 3 hours in the thermal pools. The photo was a selfie in a fluffy white robe, cucumbers on my eyes, looking completely relaxed. Shopping in Ravello on day 9. I'd taken a bus up the mountain to this stunning village and bought a gorgeous linen dress from a boutique. The photo showed me in the dress, designer shopping bags in hand, the Amalfi Coast spread out behind me. Each post was intentional, each one designed to show them exactly what they were missing, what I was experiencing without them, and the family group chat, which I now checked once a day just to see the progression, became increasingly desperate. Greg's messages evolved from confused to apologetic to frustrated. "We get it. You're mad about your birthday. Come home and celebrate properly. I'm sorry we forgot. Can we please talk about this like adults?" I thought about that message for a long time, like adults. As if I was being childish. As if taking a vacation I'd earned with my own money was immature. My mother tried the emotional approach. "Honey, this seems extreme. We're family. We should discuss things, not run away from them. I understand you're upset, but this isn't the way to handle it. Come home and let's talk." Cassidy was the most direct. "You're being really selfish right now. My shower is in 3 days and you promised you'd help. How am I supposed to get everything done? Mom is overwhelmed, and you're off playing tourist in Europe. This is my special moment, and you're ruining it." I read that message twice, looking for any moment where she asked how I was doing, where she expressed concern for me as a person, rather than as a resource she needed. There wasn't one. Morgan's messages were shorter but more frequent. "Everyone's fighting. Dad burned dinner again. Grandma and Aunt Cassidy are mad at each other. When are you coming home?" Tyler sent a voice memo on day 7. I listened to it while sitting at a cafe, eating gelato. His tone was careful, measured, like he was trying to be the reasonable one. "Look, I get you're mad, but you're kind of embarrassing the family right now. People are talking. Mom's friends keep asking where you are, and she doesn't know what to tell them." Cassidy's upset. Greg's stressed. "Can you just come home so we can sort this out? Whatever you're trying to prove, I think you've proven it." Embarrassing the family. That's what he was concerned about. Not that it'd been ignored and taken for granted for years, just that my response to it was causing them social discomfort. But the shift happened on day 8, when apparently someone discovered the name of my hotel through my Instagram location tags. The hotel was visible in one of my photos, and the name was on a towel in another shot. Greg's message came through that evening. That hotel cost $600 a night. I looked it up. Where did you get that kind of money? There it was. Not I'm glad you're somewhere nice. But how dare you spend money I didn't know about? The next message came an hour later, and I could feel his anger through the screen. I did the math. 2 weeks there, plus flights, plus everything else you're posting about. You've spent at least $15,000. That's family money, Alexandria. That's money we could have used for Morgan's college fund, or home repairs, or actual important things. I stared at that message for a long time. Family money. As if every dollar I earned belonged to all of them. As if I didn't have a right to spend my own income on myself. I finally broke my silence and responded directly in the group chat. My message was calm, factual. It's my money, from MY freelance work. Money I earned while you all assumed I'd just handle everything for free. Money I saved over 3 years. Not $1 of it came from our joint account. Check if you don't believe me. The chat went quiet for 20 minutes. I imagined Greg logging into our accounts, verifying what I'd said, realizing I was right. Then Cassidy sent a private message, not in the group chat. Fine. We forgot your birthday. You want us to grovel? We're sorry. We messed up. Now will you come home? The shower is in 2 days, and everything's falling apart. I read it 3 times, looking for genuine remorse. All I found was transactional apology. Sorry so that you'll come back and fix things. I responded simply. I have 8 more days of vacation. Enjoy the baby shower. Her response was immediate. You're unbelievable. Do you know that? Absolutely unbelievable. I turned off my phone and went to dinner. That night, I met Harper again at a wine tasting event the hotel was hosting. We sat on the terrace under string lights, sampling local wines, and I told her about the messages. They miss what you did, not who you are, she said, swirling her wine glass. That's the difference. My ex was the same way. He missed having someone to cook and clean and manage his life. He didn't actually miss me. How did you know when it was time to leave? I asked. When I realized I was angry all the time. When I understood that staying meant accepting, that this was all I was worth to him. When I knew that if I didn't leave, I'd wake up 20 years later and hate myself for wasting my life on someone who never really saw me. I nodded slowly. I'm not sure I'm ready to leave my marriage, but I'm definitely not ready to go back to how things were. Then don't, she said simply. You have all the power here. They need you. You've just proven you don't need them. Not the way they need you. That changes everything. The next day was day 9, and I did something I'd been thinking about. I booked a day trip to a cooking school in the countryside, a full-day experience with a local chef. The chef's name was Rosa, and she taught me how to make authentic Neapolitan pizza from scratch, how to select the best tomatoes, how to make fresh mozzarella. We cooked all day in her beautiful kitchen, talking about food and life and dreams. At lunch, we were joined by her husband Marco and another couple doing the same experience. The man's name was Derek, an American architect from Seattle who was working on a project in Sorrento for the summer. His wife wasn't with him. When I asked about it, he explained they were separated, working through divorce proceedings. This summer is my time to figure out who I am without her, he said. We were together since college. 20 years. I don't actually know who I am as just myself. We talked for hours, comparing notes on our experiences. How strange it felt to make decisions without consulting someone else. How guilty we both felt about spending money on ourselves. How we'd both lost pieces of our identities in our marriages. It wasn't romantic. It was just 2 people who understood each other's specific kind of loneliness. He asked if I wanted to join him and some colleagues for dinner that night. A casual group thing. I said yes. Dinner was at a small trattoria in Positano, tucked down a side street most tourists missed. Derek's colleagues were all Italian architects working on the same project. They were warm and welcoming, pulling me into conversations, asking about my work as a graphic designer, genuinely interested in my life. One of them, a woman named Julia, asked if I was traveling alone. When I said yes, She raised her glass. Brava! Solo travel is the best travel. You learn who you really are. We took a group photo at the end of the night, all of us crowded around the table, wine glasses raised. I posted it to Instagram without thinking much about it, just tagged the location and added the caption, "New friends and old wine make the best nights." I went back to my hotel around 11, pleasantly tired, genuinely happy. My phone, which I'd left in my room, showed 23 new messages. The group chat had exploded. Greg, who are those people? Who's the guy you're sitting next to? Linda. Sweetheart, are you with another man? Tyler. This is getting out of hand. You need to come home now. Cassidy. I can't believe you. You abandoned your family and now you're out partying with strangers? Do you have any idea how selfish you're being? And then, separately, Greg sent a long message. I could feel the panic in it. Alexandria, please call me. I don't understand what's happening. Are you leaving me? Is that what this is? Because if you're unhappy, we can work on it. But running away and posting photos with other men isn't the answer. Please, just come home and let's talk. I read through all the messages slowly. They'd finally seen me, but only because they thought I might be replacing them. Only because my absence had consequences for them. Not once had anyone asked if I was okay, if I was happy, if I was finding what I needed. They only cared when it looked like I might not come back. I had 4 days left of my vacation, and I refused to let their panic ruin it. But I also knew I needed to respond, needed to set boundaries now before I went home. I called my mother first. It was 8 in the morning my time, which meant it was 2 in the morning back home in Colorado. But Shed sent 3 messages marked urgent, so I figured she was awake. She answered on the first ring, her voice thick with emotion. Alexandria, thank God. I've been so worried. I'm fine, Mom, are you? Because it seems like you're having some kind of crisis. Running off to Italy, posting photos with strange men, ignoring your family. I'm not ignoring you. I'm on vacation. And those people are friends I met here. One of them is a woman going through a divorce. One is a married couple from Naples. One is a man who's also separated from his spouse. We had dinner, that's all. But why didn't you tell us you were going to Italy? Why didn't you tell us you had that much money saved? Why are you shutting us out? I took a breath, looking out at the morning light on the water. Because for 3 years, you've shut me out. You've treated me like a resource, not a person. You've forgotten my birthday 3 times. You've expected me to handle everything for everyone without ever asking what I need. That's not fair. Isn't it? When's the last time you asked me how I'm doing? Not because you needed something. Just because you cared. Silence on the other end. I raised you to be strong, she finally said. To be capable. To take care of your family. You raised me to disappear. To make myself small, so everyone else could be comfortable. And I'm done with that. So what are you saying? You're not coming home. I'm coming home in 4 days. Exactly when I planned. But things are going to be different. I'm not going back to being invisible. No one's asking you to be invisible. You don't have to ask. You just assume. And I've let you. Which is my fault too. But I'm not letting you anymore. My mother started crying. Real tears. I could hear them. I don't know what I did wrong. You taught me my worth was in what I did for others. You never taught me that I was valuable just for existing. We talked for another 30 minutes. She apologized, but it was the kind of apology that came with explanations and justifications. How Shed had her own mother who expected the same things. How Shed done the best she could. How she just wanted me to be part of the family. I am part of the family, I said. But I'm also a person with my own needs, and if you can't see that, then we have a bigger problem. When we hung up, I felt exhausted but clear. Greg called an hour later. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Hey, he said, his voice careful. Hey, can we talk? Really talk. That's what we're doing. I mean, can you explain what's happening? I'm trying to understand, but I feel like I'm missing something big. So I explained. I told him about waking up on my birthday to complete silence. About last year's forgotten birthday and the year before. About planning everyone else's celebrations while no one noticed mine. About being the family coordinator, the event planner, the problem solver, with no acknowledgement or appreciation. He listened. Actually listened, and when I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "I'm sorry," he finally said. "I really am. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten. That's the problem, Greg. You didn't realize because you didn't pay attention. None of you did. You're right. You're absolutely right. So come home and we'll fix it." "How? What do you mean how? How will we fix it? What specifically will change?" Another pause. "Well, be more aware. Well, include you more. Well, remember important dates. That's not enough. Then what do you want?" I pulled up the document I'd been working on, the one I'd created 2 days ago, sitting in a cafe overlooking the sea. It was a detailed breakdown of every single thing I did for the household, for the family, with time estimates and frequency. Grocery shopping, meal planning, cooking, cleaning, laundry, scheduling appointments, managing finances, organizing events, emotional support, gift buying, errand running, everything. I sent it to his email. "I just sent you something. Look at it." I heard him typing, then silence as he read. It took him 5 minutes to get through the whole thing. "This is everything you do," he said slowly. "Yes. I had no idea it was this much. Because you never had to think about it. I just did it all. And you assumed it happened by magic. So what do you want to change?" "Everything. We split household tasks 50-50. Morgan does her own laundry and contributes to household chores. Your mother stops volunteering me for tasks without asking first. Cassidy plans her own events, and everyone starts treating me like a person, not a personal assistant." "That's reasonable. That's totally reasonable. We can do that. Can you? Because this means you actually have to do things, Greg. Not just agree to do things and then wait for me to remind you. Actually do them." "I can do that. I will do that. And we need counseling. Marriage counseling? Because there are bigger issues here than just chores? If that's what you need, then yes. Well, do counseling." I wanted to believe him. Part of me did believe him, but another part of me knew that words were easy when I was 4,000 miles away. The real test would be when I got home. We talked for another hour. He told me about the baby shower, which had apparently been a disaster. The decorations were wrong because no one could find the ones I'd ordered and hidden in the basement. The food was mediocre because they'd ordered from a chain restaurant at the last minute instead of making things from scratch. People kept asking where I was, and when my mother explained I was in Italy, the judgment was palpable. Cassidy had cried, not from joy but from stress and disappointment. "She blames you," Greg said. "Of course she does. But Mom and I told her it wasn't your fault. That we'd all taken you for granted. Tyler too. We all had a long talk after the shower, and everyone admitted we've been terrible. Everyone except Cassidy. She's struggling. The pregnancy is hard, and she's emotional, and I think she feels guilty, but doesn't know how to say it. She'll figure it out or she won't. Either way, I'm not apologizing for taking care of myself. No one's asking you to. But I knew that wasn't entirely true. Some part of them still thought I was being excessive, still thought a simple apology from them should be enough to make everything go back to normal. The next 2 days, I spent mostly alone. I needed space to think, to process, to figure out what I actually wanted. I took long walks through Positano, climbing stairs until my legs burned, sitting in quiet churches, watching fishermen in the harbor. I journaled for hours, writing down everything I was feeling, everything I wanted, everything I was afraid of. I met with Harper one last time. She was leaving the next day, heading to Rome for the second half of her trip. "What are you going to do when you go home?" she asked over our final dinner together. "I'm going to try. I'm going to give them a chance to change. But I'm not going to sacrifice myself again. If they can't meet me halfway, then I'll have bigger decisions to make." "Good. You deserve a partner, not a dependent. Remember that." We exchanged numbers, promising to stay in touch. She'd become a real friend in just a week, the kind of friend who saw me clearly and liked what she saw. On my second to last day, Derek invited me to join him and some colleagues for a boat trip to a small beach accessible only by water. I almost said no, wanting to keep my final day calm, but something made me say yes. The beach was perfect. White sand, clear water, no crowds. We spent the day swimming and talking and eating a picnic lunch one of the Italians had prepared. It was simple and perfect. Derek and I walked along the water while the others napped in the sun. "Are you going back to your marriage?" he asked. "I think so. I want to try, at least. But on different terms." "That's brave." "I couldn't do it. Once I saw how much happier I was alone, I couldn't go back." "Was your marriage bad?" "No, that's the thing. It wasn't bad. It was just empty. We were roommates who occasionally had sex. We didn't know each other anymore, if we ever really did, and neither of us wanted to do the work to change that." "Do you regret the divorce?" "Not even a little bit. I regret waiting so long to do it." We walked in silence for a while, watching the waves. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "How did you know you'd be okay alone?" But I knew I wasn't okay with her, so being alone had to be better, even if it was hard. That night, back at my hotel, I posted one final photo. It was a selfie on my terrace at sunset. The Amalfi Coast golden behind me. I looked different than I had 2 weeks ago. Rested, happy, strong. The caption was longer than usual. "That vacation taught me the most important lesson. I don't need permission to value myself." "Happy birthday to me," 1 year later, still choosing me. The responses came quickly. Friends from high school, old coworkers, people I hadn't talked to in years, all saying variations of "good for you" and "you deserve it." And then Greg commented, publicly where everyone could see, "Every day I'm grateful you came back. Even more grateful you made us grow up." It was a start. My flight home was on a Tuesday afternoon. I'd told Greg the general time frame but not the exact arrival time. I wanted to see the house as it actually was, not as it might be if they knew I was coming. I took an Uber from the airport, arriving home around 3 in the afternoon. The drive from the airport gave me time to transition, to mentally prepare for whatever I was walking into. When the Uber pulled up to my house, everything looked normal from the outside. The grass needed mowing, but that wasn't unusual. Greg's car was in the driveway, which meant he was working from home. I paid the driver, grabbed my suitcase, and used my key to let myself in the front door. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Not bad, exactly, but different. Like someone had tried to clean but didn't quite know how. Lemon cleaner mixed with something slightly burnt. The living room was cluttered. Mail piled on the coffee table. Shoes scattered near the door. A stack of clean laundry on the couch, unfolded. But someone had clearly tried. The floors were vacuumed, even if not very well. The kitchen sink was empty, even though dishes were stacked somewhat haphazardly in the drying rack. Greg appeared from his office, and I barely recognized him. Head lost weight. He hadn't shaved in what looked like several days. He was wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt, his hair uncombed. "You're back," he said, stopping in the doorway. "I live here," I said, echoing what Id thought when I walked into the chaos after Italy. We stood there for a moment just looking at each other. "You look good," he finally said. "Really good. Tan. Rested." "Thank you. You look tired." "I am tired. Running this house is exhausting. I don't know how you did it all by yourself for so long." Morgan came downstairs then, and I saw the same thing. She looked older somehow, less carefree. She was carrying a basket of her laundry. "Alexandria," she said, and something in her voice was different, softer. "You're home." "Hey, Morgan." She set down the laundry basket and, to my surprise, hugged me. Actually hugged me. "I'm really glad you're back." Within an hour, my mother arrived. Greg had clearly texted her. She walked in without knocking, something she usually did, but this time she paused in the doorway like she wasn't sure of her welcome. "Hi, sweetheart," she said carefully. "Hi, Mom." She looked around at the house, and I could see her noticing the same things I had. The attempts at cleanliness that fell short. The small disorganization everywhere. "Can we talk?" she asked. We sat in the living room, the four of us. Greg had made coffee, and it was too weak, but I didn't say anything. He was trying. "We owe you an apology," my mother started. "A real one." Not the kind where we make excuses or explain why we forgot. Just a genuine apology for taking you for granted. I waited. I'm sorry, Greg said. I'm sorry for assuming you'd always just handle everything. For not seeing how much you were doing. For not appreciating you. I'm sorry too, Morgan added. I've been selfish. I never realized how much you did until I had to do my own laundry, and it took me 3 tries to figure out the settings. My mother was crying. I'm sorry for teaching you that your value came from what you did for others. For not showing you that you were precious just for being you. For recreating the same patterns with you that my mother created with me. These were real apologies. I could feel the difference. Thank you, I said. I appreciate that. So are we good? Greg asked. Can we move forward? Not yet. Apologies are words. I need to see actions. I pulled out my laptop and opened the document. I'd shown Greg over the phone. The detailed breakdown of every household task. This is everything I was doing, I said, turning the screen so they could all see it. From now on, we split it. 50-50 between me and Greg. Morgan, you're 17. You do your own laundry, keep your room clean, help with yard work, and cook 1 family dinner per week. Morgan's eyes widened. Per week. I'll teach you. It's a necessary life skill. She nodded slowly. Okay, that's fair. I turned to my mother. And Mom, you need to stop volunteering me for things without asking first. If Cassidy needs help with something, you ask me if I'm available. You don't assume, and if I say no, you accept it. My mother nodded. I can do that. And one more thing. Greg and I are starting marriage counseling. First appointment is next week. I already found a therapist and made the appointment. Greg looked surprised but nodded. Whatever you need. We spent the next hour going through the task list, dividing everything up. Greg took over all grocery shopping and half the cooking. He'd handle all yard work and car maintenance. He'd manage his own schedule and Morgan's school calendar. We'd split cleaning duties room by room. Financial management would be a joint activity, something we'd do together once a week instead of me handling it alone. Morgan listened carefully as we explained her new responsibilities. To her credit, she didn't complain. She just asked questions about how to do things. What if I mess up? She asked. Like, what if I ruin a load of laundry or burn dinner? Then you learn from it, I said. That's how everyone learns. I'm not expecting perfection. I'm expecting effort. That evening we had dinner together. Greg and Morgan had made spaghetti and meatballs, working from a recipe they'd clearly looked up online. It wasn't as good as when I made it, but it was edible. And more importantly, they'd made it themselves. During dinner, Greg's phone rang. Tyler. Greg put it on speaker. Hey, is Alexandria home? Tyler asked. I'm here, I said. Oh good. Welcome back. Listen, I wanted to apologize too. In person would be better, but I figured I should say it now. I've been a terrible brother. I've treated you like free labor and emotional support without ever giving anything back. That's going to change. How? I asked. The same question I'd asked Greg. I'm going to show up, not just when I need something. Actually show up and ask how you're doing. Be a real brother instead of just another person taking from you. I'd like that, I said. And I'm bringing over dinner tomorrow night. I'm cooking. Well, attempting to cook. No promises on quality. After dinner, Morgan went upstairs to start on her homework, and Greg started cleaning the kitchen. Actually cleaning it. Not just rinsing dishes and leaving everything else. I went up to our bedroom and unpacked my suitcase, hanging up my new dresses, putting away the souvenirs I'd bought. The ceramic lemon went on my nightstand, a small reminder of the person I'd become in Italy. Greg came up an hour later. Can we talk? Just us. We sat on the bed, and he took my hand. I love you, he said. I know I haven't shown it well lately. Maybe I haven't shown it well for years, but I do love you. And I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose you either, but I also can't go back to how things were. I know. And I don't want that either. This last 2 weeks, trying to do everything myself, it was a wake-up call. I kept thinking about all the things you managed, how you made it look easy. It's not easy. It's exhausting. And you did it while also working and dealing with everyone's drama. So what's different now? I see you now. And I don't want to be the kind of husband who only appreciates his wife when she's gone. We talked until late that night, really talked, about the marriage, about our dreams and disappointments, about the distance that had grown between us over 7 years, about whether we could close that distance or if it was too late. I think we can do this, Greg said finally. But only if we both commit to actually trying. Not just saying, well, try, but doing the work. That's why we're doing counseling. Because I don't trust words anymore. I need to see sustained change. He nodded. That's fair. More than fair. The next evening, Tyler came over with dinner. Head made baked chicken and roasted vegetables. And it was actually pretty good. We ate together. And for the first time in years, conversation felt natural. Real. So Italy, Tyler said. Tell us about it. Besides the part where you made us all realize we're terrible, I told them about Positano, about the hotel, about the people Eid met, about cooking classes and boat rides and afternoons doing absolutely nothing, about feeling like myself for the first time in years. I want that for you here too, Greg said. That feeling. You shouldn't have to go to another country to feel valued. No, I shouldn't. 2 days later, Cassidy finally showed up. She came by in the afternoon unannounced, and I opened the door to find her standing there with flowers. Expensive flowers from the good florist downtown. Can I come in? She asked. I stepped aside and let her in. We sat in the living room, and she set the flowers on the coffee table between us. I've been angry at you, she said without preamble. For leaving. For missing my shower. For not being there when I needed you. I waited. But I've also been angry at myself. Because I know I've been terrible to you. I've expected you to drop everything for me, while never asking what you needed. I've been jealous of you. If I'm honest, you have your freedom, your own career, your own money, and I've been stuck in this trying to get pregnant cycle for so long that I forgot how to be a person outside of that. I didn't know you felt that way. I didn't want anyone to know. It felt weak. But watching you just leave, just choose yourself without asking permission. It made me realize I've been afraid to do that. I've been so focused on having a baby because I thought that would give my life purpose. But you have purpose without any of that. You've built a whole life for yourself, and I've been resenting you for it instead of learning from it. It was the most honest Cassidy had been with me in years. I'm sorry I missed your shower, I said. But I'm not sorry I went to Italy. I don't want you to be sorry for Italy. I want you to teach me how to be like you. How to value myself. How to set boundaries. How to not need everyone's approval. We talked for 2 hours. Really talked. The way sisters should. She told me about her fears about motherhood. About her marriage. About losing herself. I told her about the years of feeling invisible. About finally snapping. About the terror and freedom of choosing myself. Are you going to stay with Greg? She asked. I think so. But it's conditional. He has to actually change, not just promise to change. And if he doesn't, or if he slides back into old patterns, then he'll have bigger decisions to make. That's smart. I wish I'd done that earlier in my marriage. Set clear expectations instead of just hoping things would get better. When she left, we hugged. A real hug. And I felt something shift between us. Something that had been broken starting to heal. 3 months passed. 3 months of slow, sometimes painful, always necessary change. The household operated completely differently. The chore chart Wed created that first day home still hung on the refrigerator, and everyone actually followed it. Greg did his tasks without being reminded. Morgan did hers. And while she complained sometimes, she did them. The house wasn't always perfect, but it was maintained by everyone, not just me. Greg had taken over all the grocery shopping, and he was actually good at it. He planned meals, made lists, compared prices, had started cooking more adventurously, trying new recipes, asking me for advice but not expecting me to do it for him. We cooked together sometimes now, something Wed never done before. Those were my favorite dinners, when Wed worked side by side, talking about our days, learning each other's rhythms. Morgan had grown up noticeably. She kept her room clean without being asked. She did her own laundry every Sunday. Shed cooked family dinner once a week for the last 12 weeks. And while the first few attempts were rough, she was getting genuinely good at it. Last week, Shed made chicken parmesan from scratch, and it was delicious. Shed been proud, and Wed been proud of her. My mother had completely changed how she interacted with me. She asked before making plans that involved me. She stopped by less frequently but called more. Actual conversations, where she asked about my life and listened to the answers. Shed started going to therapy herself, working through her own patterns and where they came from. Tyler had become a real brother. He stopped by once a week, not to ask for anything, just to hang out. Wed, go for coffee or take walks or just sit in my backyard talking. He asked about my work, my marriage, my feelings. He told me about his life too. Things Head never shared before. We were building an actual relationship, not just a biological connection. Cassidy took the longest to come around, but she got there. Shed had her baby 6 weeks ago, a healthy girl named Emma. Id visited them in the hospital, bringing flowers and a handmade quilt. Id actually had time to make because I wasn't managing everyone else's lives. Cassidy had cried when she saw it. Real, grateful tears. She called me now when she needed advice, but she also called just to talk. Shed stopped expecting me to solve her problems and started asking me to listen while she worked through them herself. The shift was subtle but profound. But the biggest change was in my marriage. Greg and I had been going to counseling every week for 3 months. The first session had been awkward, both of us defensive, both trying to explain our perspectives to a stranger. But our therapist, a woman named Dr. Sarah Chen, was skilled at cutting through our practiced narratives and getting to the real issues. Wed talked about communication patterns, about unspoken expectations, about how marriage is supposed to be a partnership, not a service arrangement, about how love requires action, not just feeling. Greg had cried during our 4th session, really cried, when Head finally articulated how much Head taken me for granted, how Head coasted on my competence and assumed I was fine because I never complained, how Head loved the idea of me but hadn't actually been curious about the real me in years. Id cried during our 7th session when Id admitted that Id enabled it, that Id said yes to everything because I was afraid of being seen as difficult, that Id confused being needed with being loved, that Id almost left Italy early because the guilt was so strong, and Id had to consciously choose to stay because I knew coming back too soon would mean nothing would change. The work was hard. Some weeks we took steps backward, but overall, we were moving forward. The marriage wasn't perfect, but it was equitable now. We were partners, instead of service provider and recipient. Today was my 33rd birthday, and I woke up to my phone buzzing with messages. But unlike last year, these messages were birthday wishes. Greg had planned everything. Head told me last week to keep the weekend clear, that he was handling it. It'd been curious but had let him surprise me. He woke me up with coffee in bed, made exactly how I liked it. "Happy birthday," he said, kissing my forehead. "Thank you. Get dressed. Comfortable clothes. We're going on an adventure." He drove us 3 hours into the mountains, to a bed and breakfast I'd mentioned wanting to visit years ago. Had somehow remembered. We spent the day hiking, eating at a local restaurant, getting a couple's massage at the spa attached to the B&B. Everything was thoughtful, personal, chosen specifically for me. That evening, back home, Morgan had decorated the dining room with flowers and candles. Shed made dinner herself, consulting with Greg but doing the work. Lasagna, my favorite, with garlic bread and salad. It wasn't perfect, but it was made with love, and I could taste the difference. My mother came over with a gift, a beautiful journal bound in Italian leather. "For your next adventure," she said, "wherever that takes you." Tyler brought wine and a photo album Head put together. "All the moments you made possible for us," he said, showing me pages filled with photos from celebrations over the years, family holidays, birthdays, graduations, and in almost every photo, there I was in the background, setting up, serving food, coordinating. "I wanted you to see yourself the way we should have seen you all along, as the center of everything, not just the stage manager." Cassidy video called from home, baby Emma sleeping in her arms. "Happy birthday," Big sister, I'm sorry I can't be there, but I wanted to tell you something. You changed my life by choosing yourself. You showed me it was possible. I'm learning from you every day. After dinner, Greg pulled out a card and a small box. The card was handwritten, 2 full pages of things he loved about me, things he appreciated, ways I'd made his life better. The box held a necklace, a delicate gold chain with a small pendant shaped like Italy. So you always remember, he said. Not just the trip, but what it represented. You choosing yourself. That's the bravest thing I've ever seen anyone do. I put it on and didn't take it off. Later that night, after everyone had left and Morgan had gone to bed, Greg and I sat on our back porch with wine, looking at the stars. This was a good birthday, I said. It should have been good last year. And the year before. I can't change that, but I can make sure every year going forward is good. I know, and I appreciate it. Do you ever think about going back? To Italy? All the time? Then let's go. Next summer, together this time. I want to see all the places you fell in love with. I want to understand what you felt there. I'd like that. We sat in comfortable silence, and I thought about the journey of the last 3 months. It wasn't finished. We'd still have hard days. Old patterns would try to reassert themselves. But we were committed to the work now, both of us. My phone buzzed with an Instagram notification. Someone had commented on my post from that morning, a simple photo of my coffee cup with the caption, 33 and finally free. The comment was from Harper, my friend from Italy. Happy birthday, beautiful soul. Keep choosing you. I smiled and replied, always. Morgan appeared in the doorway wrapped in a blanket. Can I ask you something? She said. Of course. She sat down on the porch step. Do you ever regret going to Italy? Like, was it worth all the drama? I thought about the question seriously. I regret that I waited 3 years. I should have gone the first time they forgot. But what if you had just talked to us instead? Would we have listened? Would you have? She was quiet for a moment. Probably not. I hate admitting that. But probably not. I think we needed to feel what it was like without you. To understand what we were losing. Sometimes people don't hear words, I said. They need to feel the absence. Not because you want to punish them, but because they've gotten so used to taking you for granted that they literally can't see you anymore. You have to remove yourself so they can see the space you were filling. That makes sense. In a sad way, but it makes sense. Greg put his arm around my shoulders. Your stepmom taught us all a very important lesson. That love isn't about sacrifice. It's about mutual respect. And we're all better people now because she had the courage to choose herself. The next morning, I woke up early and went to my office. I'd been working on a new project. One had started in Italy and continued since I'd been home. A series of graphic designs about self-worth, about boundaries, about choosing yourself. I was turning them into prints to sell online. Something just for me. I opened my laptop and posted one final photo to Instagram. It was from last night, all of us around the dinner table, candles glowing, everyone smiling, real smiles, connected. The caption was longer than usual, something I'd been thinking about for weeks. That vacation taught me the most important lesson. I don't need permission to value myself. Happy birthday to me, 1 year later, still choosing me. But here's what I've learned since coming home. Choosing yourself doesn't mean leaving everyone behind. It means teaching them how to value you by valuing yourself first. It means setting boundaries and keeping them. It means understanding that real love celebrates your wholeness, not your sacrifice. It means being brave enough to disrupt comfortable patterns that are killing you slowly. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for people who take you for granted is to stop being available. Not to punish them, but to give them the chance to see what they've been missing, to grow into better versions of themselves. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you shouldn't have to disappear for people to notice you were there. Real love isn't about who does the most. It's about who shows up with intention, who sees you clearly, who celebrates your existence, not just your usefulness. I learned that it's not selfish to choose yourself. It's necessary. And the people who truly love you won't just accept that choice. They'll celebrate it. 1 year ago, I booked a ticket to Italy because my family forgot my birthday for the third time. Today, they planned the most thoughtful birthday I've ever had. Not because I demanded it, but because I stopped accepting less than I deserved. Sometimes you have to walk away to teach people how to walk toward you correctly. And sometimes, if you're lucky and they're willing to grow, they actually learn. This is what growth looks like. This is what love looks like when it's real. The post went up, and within minutes, comments started coming in. Friends, acquaintances, strangers, who'd been following my journey, all saying variations of the same thing. Thank you for sharing this. I needed to hear this. You've inspired me to choose myself too. Greg came up behind me and read over my shoulder. When he finished, he kissed the top of my head. I'm proud of you, and am grateful every single day that you came back and gave us another chance. I'm proud of you too, for doing the work, for actually changing. I'm not done yet. This is a lifetime thing, not a 3-month fix. I know. We're both still learning. He squeezed my shoulder and headed downstairs to start breakfast. His morning now, according to our schedule. I looked around my office, at the life I'd built, at the person I'd become. The trip to Italy had been a catalyst, but the real journey had been internal. Learning to value myself, learning to demand respect, learning that love, without reciprocity, isn't love at all. It's just service. I closed my laptop and went downstairs to join my family. My family who now saw me, who valued me, who chose me back. The kitchen smelled like pancakes. Morgan was setting the table without being asked. Greg was humming while he cooked. Everything was messy and imperfect and real. And I was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. Not because everything was perfect, but because I'd learned the most important lesson. I was enough, just as I was, without doing anything for anyone. And the people who truly loved me understood that now too. Before we ate, I looked around at all of them and said, I want to ask you something. What's one thing you learned from me leaving? Morgan answered first. That you're a person, not just my stepmom. That you have feelings and needs too. Greg went next. That a marriage is supposed to be a partnership. That I was taking advantage of your kindness. That love requires action, not just words. I thought about Harper, about Derek, about all the solo travelers I'd met who'd taught me that it was okay to prioritize myself. About Joan, the retired teacher who traveled twice a year alone and had told me that sometimes the best company is your own. Here's what I learned, I said. I learned that I'd been waiting for permission to value myself. Permission that was never going to come because people who benefit from your self-sacrifice will never tell you to stop. I learned that sometimes you have to save yourself because no one else will. I learned that it's not selfish to have boundaries. It's necessary. And I learned that the people who truly love you will rise to meet your standards if you hold firm to them. We ate breakfast together, and it was good. Not fancy, not perfect, but made with care and eaten with intention. Later that afternoon, I was at my desk when I got an email. It was from the hotel in Positano, a marketing email about special rates for return guests. I clicked through, looking at the photos, remembering my time there. Greg came into my office. What are you looking at? The hotel in Positano. They're offering a discount for guests who come back. Should we book it? For next summer. I thought about it. About experiencing those places with him. About building new memories together. About whether our marriage could handle a romantic trip, or if we still had too much work to do. Let's wait, I said. Let's give it another 6 months. If we're still doing the work, still growing, then yes. Let's go together. That's fair. I want to earn that trip. I want to be the kind of husband who deserves to experience that with you. He left to go back to work, and I sat there thinking about the future. About the woman I'd become. About the family we were building. Different from before. Better than before. My phone buzzed with a text from Cassidy. A photo of baby Emma, awake and alert. The message said, "She smiled at me today. First real smile. And I thought of you. How you've been teaching me that joy comes from connection, not control. Thank you for being my sister. Thank you for showing me a better way." I texted back a heart and a message. You're going to be an amazing mother. Because you're learning to take care of yourself too, not just everyone else. As the sun started to set, I went outside to my back porch, the place that had become my thinking spot. I had my journal, the one my mother had given me, and I started to write. I wrote about the journey, about the pain of being forgotten, about the courage it took to leave, about the peace I'd found in Italy, about the hard work of coming home and demanding change, about the slow, steady progress of the last 3 months. And I wrote about hope that this was sustainable, hope that we'd keep growing, hope that I'd never again make myself small for someone else's comfort. The ceramic lemon from Positano sat on the porch table, catching the last rays of sunlight. It was just a small souvenir, nothing expensive or fancy, but it represented everything: freedom, choice, self-love. I picked it up and held it, remembering the woman who'd bought it, the woman who'd been brave enough to walk away, the woman who'd been strong enough to come back on her own terms. That woman was me, and I was proud of her. So now, I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt invisible in your own life? Have you ever realized that the people closest to you had stopped seeing you as a person and started seeing you only as what you could do for them? And if so, what did you do about it? Did you speak up? Did you walk away? Or are you still waiting for permission to value yourself? I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, if it made you think about your own relationships and boundaries, please consider liking this video. It helps other people find these stories, and maybe someone else needs to hear this message today. Subscribe to the channel if you want more stories about real people navigating real challenges and finding their way to better, healthier lives. And share this with someone who might need the reminder that choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. I hope you take from it what you need: the courage to set boundaries, the strength to demand respect, the wisdom to know your worth, and the peace that comes from finally choosing yourself. May you always remember that you are valuable not for what you do, but for who you are. May you surround yourself with people who see you clearly and love you wholly. May you have the courage to walk away from anything that makes you small. And may you always, always choose yourself first, because you can't pour from an empty cup, and you deserve to be filled to overflowing. Until next time, choose you. Always choose you.